must have tried every spiritual path out there until about 15 years ago, I finally said enough. All this working on myself seems to just spin me in circles like I'm on this hamster wheel that just never ends. When does this end? When do I get happy and issue free? Well, I decided to spend 21 days in complete silence, not talking to anybody, not listening to anybody, not studying spirituality, not cleansing, clearing, healing, processing. Listening only to the presence, only chatting with the presence, going straight to the source within for 21 days. What an eye-opener. That was the beginning of a new life in this body. Life got good. Each and every area of my life, one by one, just got better and better without working on it. You know, that's actually what happened with Buddha. He tried every modality out there: deprivation, austerity, studying this, studying with that person. And the day he just shut up and sat down under that Bodhi tree, that's when it happened. I know it's a big spiritual myth that you have to work, but that is actually counterproductive. It spins you in this hamster wheel of processing that it never ends. Focusing on what's wrong only adds more of what's wrong that you have to resolve. And then you find more of what's wrong, and it just never stops. That's why Divine Openings is such a breath of fresh air. That's what I created after that 21 days. I came out of there so clear about what it takes to wake up and then keep evolving. Now, I just realized you may be wondering, do I have to spend 21 days in silence? No, you do not. I've created Divine Openings so that you can get there without ever leaving home, actually. Very often people have a big awakening, but then there's no clear path. I saw it. I saw people just getting confused again, going back to listening to all these other people and modalities. And some people definitely need a spiritual teacher for a time. But what I do with Divine Openings is lead people to their own inner source, their own inner guidance, their own inner mastery. But that can take a while because the mind is full of tricks to pull you back in. I don't like to call it ego, but whatever that human limited self is, whatever you want to call it, it tries to pull you back in. So it takes some time to gain your spiritual maturity. It does take a path for most people. Even the biggest wowie zowie awakening experiences, people don't usually sustain it unless they keep going and integrate and grow and expand into spiritual maturity. The 5 portals of awakening at divineopenings.com provide that clear paved path to spiritual maturity. And yes, people have wow experiences on the way, wow spiritual experiences, wow life miracles. But we keep going until the spiritual maturity happens. You go through a lot of stages when you're waking up. If the small self grabs your first bit of spiritual power, you go off on a detour. The small self, 1 minute it's telling you you're horrible, you're useless, you're worthless. Next minute it's telling you you're better than everybody else. So that's an early stage in spiritual awakening. Oh, I've got a handle on the truth. That's small self. Very human, bless our hearts. Yet we must continue to grow and evolve. Past that, there's this mellowing and maturing that happens as you have these powerful experiences that makes sure that your large self is directing the process. And your large self doesn't get all big-headed about it. Hey, I've been through those stages. It's so funny. In mature spiritual awakening, you respect everybody else's beliefs and you try to help and you try to show truth, but you don't feel better than everybody else. You want to help people out of compassion, but you don't push it. How does divine openings work? There's a lot of grace energy involved. As a matter of fact, grace will do 90% of the work. If you just learn to use your 10% to stay out of the way and keep the small self in the back seat and the large self driving the car, that's your 10%. And boy, if you do that, grace is like the engine in your car, and it'll take you 1,000,000 miles on a gallon of gas. Without all that work and processing, with ease, you learn how to get in the flow. And again, that's process. I can't put it on a web card on social media and boom, you have it. It's a path. Serious spiritual growth happens on a path with steps along the way, but that doesn't mean hard work. Again, the hard work negates it. How do you get to ease and flow with struggle and toil? You don't. Yeah. No, you learn to lie back in the stream and let it take you, and you just make wise choices as your 10%. And you don't flail and flap and try to swim upstream. So you learn all of that. And gosh, with all humility, how do I say this? A good teacher bathes you in grace by being in their presence, even online. So just spending pleasurable minutes and hours watching videos and listening to audios in the 5 portals online marinates you in that high vibration and shifts your energy by grace. Melts through those issues so you don't have to process them. Helps you. Supports you. Retrains the mind. Sure, you need to learn some mind habits, new mind habits, to replace the old, fearful, habitual, destructive mind habits. That's part of your 10%. But 90% of it is learning to get in that flow. Feel that flow. Feel that flow. Know when you're in it and when you're not, and how to get back in. And that part is so pleasurable and easy. The hard part is actually training your mind, which doesn't want to be trained sometimes. Now, I see some people who are really very low resistance when they come to this, and it's actually pretty quick for them. The average human being is a little more resistant, and that is what determines how fast you wake up and stay woke. But don't give yourself a hard time if you have resistance. It's so human. Now, if there are areas of your life that you want to elevate, divine openings can do that. If your life is pretty great, but maybe money's an issue or relationships an issue, divine openings can help. If your life is a total mess, it'll help. You can begin from anywhere. Grace reigns on us all. Are we able to let it in? Or are our pipes closed? If you want a big life tune-up, or if you want a total life overhaul, divineopenings.com has that path. And I'm Lola Jones. I created it. I created this enormous 180,000 page website But there is a page called Your Journey Begins for new people that shows you just the essentials. Here's how you get started. And your life can begin to transform today. You could see changes this week, this month. But stick with it, because there's so much distracting spiritual stuff out there, and you can't follow 10 paths at once. Believe me, I tried. Pick a path that works. Then you don't need all that other stuff. The only reason you would be searching for other paths is that the one you're on isn't working. Think about that carefully. If the path or modality or therapy you were on was working, you would not be looking. Thousands of people all over the world have been able to stop seeking and get off that hamster wheel of endless processing. Oh, I'm so glad to be off that. Life is good. Can you let it in? Yeah. If you can let it in, grace is raining on you right now. Much love and ease for you. Lola Jones, DivineOpenings.com.